Welcome in, Chargers fans. Sorry for the delayed video, but we have drafted Zion Johnson at pick number 17. I want to say 6 or 7 videos last Saturday of just like reaction videos of players who we might take at 17, including one scenario where we traded back, and I was just ready to post one of them or like make public one of them with who we drafted. I did not expect us to take Zion Johnson. Um, Definitely mixed reactions off the bat for me, at least, but sorry ahead of time. My light bulb went out, so the lighting's a little bit different. Sorry for the lack of videos this week as well. Like I've said in previous videos, I have finals coming up in 2 weeks, about to graduate, but just like I don't know, I've had a lot of tests and stuff, so I had to test this morning in one of my hardest classes, so I should be somewhat more free these next couple days. I did stay up all night, or not all night. I watched all the drafts last night. I made sure that I had enough work done to where I could just sit down and watch the draft, and I'm excited to do the same thing tonight. But Zion Johnson, I was extremely surprised by the selection. One, because Trent McDuffie was on the board. Chargers have already been tied to Trent McDuffie a little bit. George Karlaftis was on the board, who I think I've been the only Chargers person to sort of beat that drum of George Karlaftis to the Chargers. My fiance, who I watched it with, really wanted George Karlaftis just because she liked the way that he was dressed, and she said that it looked like he was going to a church service or like prom or something, and just that he looked really like wholesome, which was true. Karlaftis best dressed last night. So yeah, basically the two players that I wanted the most at pick 17, the Chiefs drafted, which was not fun for me to see, not fun for Chargers fans to see. Chiefs killed the first round of the draft. And by no means was I upset with the pick of Zion Johnson. I was. It is a bet on certainty, and my immediate reactions were, just what we've all heard in this pre-draft process and the pre-draft process now. We're in the middle of the drafting process. But he is a very good guard. From day one, he's going to be a very good guard. Not really going to be much of a. He's obviously taking a pretty big step up from ACC to the NFL, but he's one of the most pro-ready players in this draft, regardless of position. So I'm just gonna glide through this pretty quick. He was 24th on PFS, big board, lab built guard frame, loaded lower half. He is just gonna be a very good guard. Most downgrades are awareness related when pick camp stunts blitzes, which I don't know if I saw that as a huge problem. Average get off and quickness for a guard. He's not Quentin Nelson, but that's not hugely important for a guard. And he was a late bloomer at Boston College, but he played left tackle a little bit. Mike Renner from PFF still thinks that he has a shot of playing tackle in the NFL just with his build, his skill set, and his arm length and stuff. Not much that he needs to improve. He's just so consistent, and he's going to be a very good guard. Look at that testing. That's incredible. Arm length too, 34 inches. Great frame, just all around explosive too. 32 bench reps as well with pretty long arms. Good vertical, good broad, good three cone, good short shuttle, which is very important for linemen. But what sort of is making me a lot more happy with this pick, and I'm not going to make this video too long, but watching the Brandon Staley press conference specifically, Tom Telesco, we couldn't really gather much other than he was expecting Zion to be there at pick 17, which in my opinion tells you that you might be reaching just a hair, so a trade back might be better, because if you know a guy is going to be there, it's like, then maybe you should pick him where he's supposed to be picked, which Zion was honestly higher on a lot of people's boards. A lot of people had him as like a top 10 player in this draft just because he's a surefire, very good starting NFL guard. And Brandon Staley revealed in his press conference that Zion is going to be the right guard. They're keeping Matt Filer at left guard for right now. Rashawn at left tackle, Lindsley obviously at center, and then right tackle, he said he kept bringing up the post-draft process, so we do still have some cap space. A guy like Riley Reef is still available. There's a couple of tackles I want to say who are still available, so that could have been what he was alluding to. I don't know, just because we spent such a premium pick on offensive line, I don't know if we're going to address it again in the draft. I don't really know if I want us to. We have Trey Pipkins, who, like I've said before, I wouldn't love starting at right tackle. Perfect scenarios, we just signed Riley Reef, and he's a right tackle for next year. But basically, the best thing that I gathered was Brandon Staley saying that you can't necessarily execute your scheme to its fullest potential if you're not good on the inside or like at the line of scrimmage. So offensive line and defensive line, it's really hard to make up for deficiencies like with your skill positions on offense. Even if you have a good quarterback and good receivers, if you don't have a good O-line, it's really hard to make up for that. But if you have a dominant O-line, even just a good O-line, you give that quarterback a little bit more time, you give those receivers a little bit more time. Brandon Staley just talked about how that's sort of what drives the scheme and being able to actually deploy different parts of the scheme with not having to make up for weaknesses on your offensive line or defensive line. So what I've sort of gathered a little bit is that I really, really hope that it just means that we're going to throw the ball down the field more, because we couldn't, or not that we couldn't, we didn't throw the ball down the field that much. That's what every single Chargers fan was just hammering home. We need to get rid of Joe Lombardi. His scheme just is not meant for Justin Herbert. Way too many shallow routes, way too low of an average depth of target. We need to be throwing the ball down the field way, way, way more, which is all true. And I still think we should have done that last year. I think we could have done that more last year. But at least their reasoning does make sense when he said that everything, like, it's hard to fully deploy your scheme when you're not good up front. We did have a clear, obvious good side of the offensive line and bad side of the offensive line last year. So hopefully this year, with an improved offensive line, with upgrading that right side, hopefully that means that we're going to throw the ball down the field more. We can keep Herbert in the pocket while still getting to that intermediate and deep part of the field without having to consistently either chip, keep an extra guy in on that right side, or just every single time roll Herbert out so that he has time to make those throws. Hopefully, this means that we can consistently throw the ball down the field. That's sort of how I've rationalized it from a good pick. Zion Johnson, very surefire. Whenever you can get a surefire, good prospect in the draft in any round, even the first, that's a good thing, and it will hardly ever be a bad thing because we didn't necessarily reach that far for him, according to the consensus. But I wasn't ecstatic. I wasn't thrilled. I was very sure that we were about to take Trent McDuffie. So I was very surprised by Zion Johnson. I know the guilty as charged guys love Zion Johnson. And I've always liked him. Was never a huge lover, but our O line's going to be legit next year. Very, very legit. Hopefully, we're going to throw the ball down the field more. Keep an eye out for. I mean, draft is honestly going to start pretty soon. I'm torn on if I should even make a day 2 targets video of guys best available. I might just make a quick one, but this was my reaction and thought process behind the Zion Johnson pick. Let me know what you guys think of Zion Johnson and the pick. What were your guys' reactions? Let me know in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.